What if I told you that one of the oldest civilizations in human history, older than the pyramids of Egypt, older than the empires of Mesopotamia, has stories so powerful, so hidden, that most of the world has never truly known them? A land where kingdoms rose with gold and mystery, where ancient kings claimed descent from a union between heaven and earth, and where faith and legend intertwine so deeply that even today, their echoes shape identity and destiny. This is the untold history of ancient Ethiopia. Thousands of years ago, in the rugged highlands of the Horn of Africa, a civilization thrived with astonishing sophistication. While many associate Ethiopia with its biblical connections or its famed coffee, very few know that this land was home to the kingdom of Aksum, a power that rivaled Rome in wealth and influence. Imagine cities with towering obelisks carved from single pieces of stone, rising above the landscape like the fingers of giants, and inscriptions written in Gi, a language that would outlive centuries of conquest and upheaval. But Ethiopia's story isn't just about monuments. Its people were masters of trade, connecting the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, trading gold, ivory, and exotic spices with faraway lands. Ships from distant empires arrived not as invaders, but as traders, drawn by the wealth and knowledge emanating from this enigmatic kingdom. Yet, despite such global significance, much of Aksum's brilliance faded from history books, hidden behind the shadows of more famous empires. Among the many remarkable tales of ancient Ethiopia is the story of the Queen of Sheba. Unlike the vague legends we often hear, historical evidence suggests she was a real queen, leading armies, governing vast territories, and navigating complex political landscapes. When she visited King Solomon in Jerusalem, it was not a simple diplomatic trip, it was an exchange of knowledge, culture, and power, one that would ripple through generations. Some historians believe her lineage gave rise to Ethiopia's Solomonic dynasty, a line of kings claiming direct descent from the union of Solomon and Sheba. This wasn't just myth, it was a claim to divine legitimacy, blending faith, politics, and identity in ways that shaped the nation for centuries. Ethiopia was also one of the first places in the world to adopt Christianity, long before Europe turned its gaze to faith. In the 4th century, King Ezana embraced Christianity, transforming the spiritual landscape of the nation. But the way it evolved in Ethiopia was unlike anywhere else, intertwined with ancient customs, mysticism, and the oral stories of people who lived on these highlands, forging a unique spiritual identity that persists even today. Even within these triumphs, mysteries linger. The obelisks of Aksum, some taller than 30 meters, remain engineering marvels. How did a civilization, isolated by mountains and deserts, move these colossal stones with such precision? Even the inscriptions hint at lost knowledge, codes of power and governance whose full meaning may never be recovered. These monuments stand as silent witnesses to a civilization that was both advanced and elusive, proud yet enigmatic. Hidden stories of courage and resistance are everywhere in Ethiopia's past. Centuries later, when European powers attempted to colonize Africa, Ethiopia stood alone. Led by Emperor Menelik II, the Ethiopian forces defeated Italy at the Battle of Adwa in 1896. But this triumph was not just military, it was symbolic. A nation with a memory of ancient sovereignty and spiritual depth refused to be subdued, reminding the world that Ethiopia had always been a cradle of resilience. It's a victory that resonates not only in history books, but in the very spirit of its people. And yet, the full story of ancient Ethiopia is more than kings, battles, or monuments. It's a story of identity of a people who survived floods, famines, invasions, and the slow erasure of memory from global narratives. Every ancient manuscript, every church carved into rock, every whisper of GEs that survives today is a testament to a civilization that refuses to be forgotten. It's a civilization whose history challenges what we think we know about the ancient world. So, next time you hear the name Ethiopia, don't just think of the coffee, or the mountains, or even its biblical mentions. Think of a kingdom older than most nations. A story filled with ambition, mystery, and unyielding resilience. Imagine the ancient queens, the kings, the traders, and the ordinary people whose lives wove together a tapestry of human ingenuity and spirit. Ask yourself how many more stories like this have been lost, hidden in the corners of history, waiting for someone to uncover them. Because ancient Ethiopia reminds us that history is never just in the past, it lives in the monuments, the traditions, and the courage of those who refuse to be forgotten. And sometimes, the most extraordinary civilizations are the ones the world barely remembers.